My insane ex-wife manipulated the legal system and got me wrongfully sentenced to prison. So after getting out I got her evicted. The reason I ruined my ex-wife's life starts at the time of our divorce. She falsely reported me for being violent, then coerced her sister into testifying on her behalf, and thus got a restraining order against me as well as full custody of our kids. That was already a hard blow. But what came next was the knockout blow for me. My mother was diagnosed with terminal cancer and was told she had 3 months to live, and her dying wish was to have her grandkids visit her in the hospital so she could see them one last time. So I violated the restraining order and contacted my ex. I promised that I wouldn't be in the room with them, and that all I ask is for her to let our kids see their dying grandmother one last time. She laughed at me in response, then said that not only would she not let the kids visit, but that she won't even take them to the funeral. Turns out, she also went to the police and reported me for violating the restraining order. I ended up being arrested, and although the judge said he understood why I did it, he still ruled it as a breach of the restraining order and sentenced me to 4 months in jail. My mother passed away while I was locked up, and I never even got to say goodbye. But when I got out of jail, I was a different person. That anger I felt was all I could think about. I didn't care about right or wrong anymore. I just wanted to hurt my ex-wife, Laura, the way she'd hurt me. I knew I couldn't go near her, not with the restraining order and all, but that didn't mean I couldn't ruin her life from a distance. The anger that I felt in my cell was replaced with emptiness. I had nowhere to go, no one to turn to. Most of my family had written me off long before I ever got locked up. They didn't even call when Mom passed. They just let me be in that cell. I had no choice but to start over, but it wasn't as easy as it sounded. I had no job, no home, no money, just a criminal record and hatred for the woman who had put me there. Eventually, I found a rundown apartment complex on the edge of town, but it was cheap, and that was all I could afford. I paid the first month's rent with what little cash I had left, and the landlord didn't ask too many questions. The apartment was a dump, but it was a roof over my head. The ceiling leaked and the heating barely worked, but it was something. I spent the first night there on the floor, staring up at the cracked ceiling, wondering how it had come to this. The next day, I went out looking for a job. I needed money if I was going to survive and, more importantly, if I was going to get back at Laura. But finding work with a record wasn't easy. I spent hours going from place to place, asking for applications, and filling out forms only to get turned away as soon as they saw the gap in my employment history. Finally, I found a convenience store that was desperate enough to take me on. It wasn't much, just minimum wage, but it was something and I took it. The work was mind-numbing. I spent my days behind the counter, ringing up smokes and lottery tickets. The nights were worse, with drunks stumbling in at all hours and the occasional junkie trying to boost a six-pack. The whole time, I kept thinking about Laura, about how she was out there somewhere, living her life while I was stuck in this pit. Every cent I earned went towards keeping the crappy apartment and buying just enough food to get by. There was no room for anything else. But every night, after I dragged myself back to that dump of an apartment, I'd lie there and think about what I was going to do to her, how I was going to make her pay for what she'd done to me and my mom. When I finally got to a decent place and wasn't struggling as badly with keeping my finances, my plan to destroy Laura started coming into full effect. The first thing I did was find out where she was working. It took some digging, but eventually I found out she was managing a little boutique downtown. It seemed like a cozy job. What a shame it would be if someone were to get her fired, I thought to myself. I figured it was the perfect place to start. I found this raggedy computer from a pawn shop and bought it. When I got home I sat in front of my computer and created a bunch of fake online profiles. It felt like hours had passed since I started this, but I wasn't even close to being done. This was the 4th profile today, but it had to be different from the others. Each profile needed its own personality.